As we've already seen and heard today, the big European leagues are restarting, with broadcasters and host broadcasters making use of exciting innovations to counter the lack of supporters inside the stadiums, while adhering to the stringent health and safety regulations enforced by COVID-19. What about the smaller leagues, the semi-professional and amateur game, and even niche football tournaments such as futsal? They survive almost entirely on funds from gate receipts and merchandise. And of course, no fans equals no money. Lower league clubs cannot afford to play matches behind closed doors, but equally, they want to engage fans in other ways and find new sources of revenue. With us now to discuss this subject and how automated and automatic production technology might be the answer to this particular issue is Alon Werber, who's Chief Executive of Pixellot. Welcome, Alon.
Well, how are you, Will?
I'm very well, thank you very much. Thanks for joining us today. Now, with matches being played behind closed doors, enabling clubs to capture and stream their games remotely and cost effectively could be critical in helping them to reach their community and their fans. I mean, I know from my own experience as a supporter of a fifth-tier football club in England how important this is. So, Alon, what's your take on the current situation, and why do you think automated production solutions could be the answer?
I think the outcome of the pandemic, there's two critical consequences to the pandemic. One is safety. And as sports tries to resume, and it's critical for everyone, for federations, for clubs, for leagues, for the nations to resume the sport, it's clear that at least in most markets, there'll be constraints about fans coming in to the fields, either completely closed door or very considerable limitations. This is one aspect. The sport will resume without fans or limited fans in the venue, safety. The other consequence is also clear to everybody. All the sport, almost any area in the sport that you look at, has suffered a very severe hit on the revenues, and the budgets are under a huge constraint. So budgets which were available in the past will probably not be in the future. And the third, I think, consequence, there's a much broader and deeper understanding that things needs to be digitized and automated, and cost effectiveness become critical. So I think automatic production, and we see it in our own experience with the way the business starts to emerge even stronger for us right now. I think there's a understanding that automatic production, assuming it's robust enough, we can provide reliable solution and good quality, can be a great way to address the two aspects in parallel. On the one hand, if you are a second tier or third tier, and you don't have the fans, which are often the only way to connect to fans, because there's no broadcast, there's no budget to have the old type production. You are disconnected completely from your fans. It's not just about the fact that you don't have revenue streams, because you don't have the fans in the venue. It's about the connection and the engagement with the fans. This, in some cases, will be a necessity. You need to somehow keep connection with the fans. And you need to have a way to monetize. The monetization, if you have a production, you have a video, it might come with sponsors or advertisers or from pay-per-view and ticketing, because there are fans which are very engaged and very passionate about their teams, which are not necessarily tier one. So for these teams, this is in some cases mandatory to resume the sport. But even for tier one teams and leagues, some of them will still have the budgets, and that's fine. But many of them, Division 1 leagues all over basketball, all over Europe, I'm not even talking about women's sport, even Division 1, they will need to be much more cost conscious. And they're looking for good solutions that can still bring good experience to their fans, and sometimes even better experience, because the AI and automatic production, since you follow the moving object, it lends itself much better to social media and to short clips and post products after the game, including stats collected automatically, etc. So in a sense, I think it will accelerate the adoption of a technology like ours, and other players which are automated, AI, robust, and in good quality, because quality is still important.
Thank you. Do you have any specific examples that you could share, perhaps, and perhaps some successes as well?
Of course, even before the scenario I'm just describing, which is the post-COVID with all the constraint, I think there's a broad understanding that automatic production can be a great solution to bring much more video and much more leagues and much more sports into the spotlights. And video is not just about the fans. Systems can serve coaches, in some cases where it's relevant, even create new revenue streams like sport betting. And if we look at 2019 for Pixellot, around 100,000 games were produced live in soccer alone. We're talking about soccer mostly. We look at all our productions, there are much more than that, but in soccer, 100,000 games. We have covering the FMF, for example, the second league in Mexico is covered using our broadcast. Sometimes there'll be a more advanced production or higher cost production, manual production for the main game, but all the other games are produced this way. We have more than 70 leagues covered with our partners in Germany, 70 or 18 in Germany, in Italy, some leagues, in France, in Belgium. Women leagues, a lot of women sport which was not covered at all in soccer are covered today. Even we just signed a deal lately, which will be hopefully after the pandemic, which will start to operate for the first professional soccer league for women in Argentina. We lately signed a deal, a high-profile league in SPFL in Scotland to produce everything automatically, the second league in Scotland, for both sport betting purposes, but for the fans as well. So we see it going downwards to lower leagues, but also to main leagues of women, and in some cases even tier one. Again, the main games might be produced still manually with an obi-wan and many camera people, but we can provide services even with multi-camera. So I think this is in essence the future, because again, it's not just about the production. It's about the fact that there is data. We all track the moving objects, so we can create some stats based on the same production. We can create personal highlights, game highlights, and stuff like that.
Thanks very much. Just finally, what advice would you give to, be it a federation, a league, or a club, or anyone thinking about adopting automatic production technology for their football coverage?
I think, of course, it serves us in a way, but I really believe that it's critical. I think that seeing a product, demonstrating a product that does some automatic production is important. The quality of the video is important, and the quality of tracking is important, but it's only a small fraction of what they need to consider. They need to make sure that whoever provides a service, the service reliability is very, very high. It's typically critical. They want to make sure the SLA, that whoever provides has the scale and has the automation to deal with all kinds of aspects which might go wrong in technology, and everything is handled automatically with fallbacks, because stuff will happen. And if a company doesn't have a lot of experience in all kinds of scenarios, different lighting conditions, unstable internet, you name it, there's all kinds of issues that can go wrong. And you don't see it when you see a demo of a great system working. So they need to check very clearly before they make an investment, which should save them cost, what type of issues they might confront down the road when there's a lot of games and there's a lot of issues. So one, real scalability, I think, is important. And two, in our business, the volume matters a lot, because when you have a lot of games, we have around 500,000 games in our database tagged already. All the data is there. And the way AI improves itself, this is why it's AI, is because when you feed it more and more tagged games, it will become more and more accurate. will handle more side events. And we see it through our 5 years adventure. We saw up to the point that we have high accuracy and very high reliability in our production and streaming and cloud side, because the cloud is also important. So check all of these aspects. Make sure that, and then in some cases, it's really no-brainer, because if you understand the installation is simple and you understand the reliability of solution, the marginal costs are by design, by default, much lower, and the options for reuse are much higher because you have the data. This is critical as opposed to regular cameras and broadcast. So check this all out, and I think whoever won't jump on this wagon will be in disadvantage, even if it's us or even someone else who does good job in this space. This is where things are heading. I mean, as it comes to the La Liga or championship, still big budgets, even after the pandemic. Maybe they want to get quality and variety, which is even bigger than what we can provide, although we are starting to get there slowly. But this is what I would consider if I'm a league or federation. I would take it seriously. It's not something they need to push another year or two, and it's not big investments. And even the investment that do exist can be, in terms of cash flow investment, can be laid out very conveniently for the teams.
Thank you. I think that's a great place to leave it as we're running out of time. Alon, thank you very much for giving up your time today. It's been fascinating to speak to you.
Thank you so much, Will, and thank you for having me today.
Thank you.